This is the story that goes with episode 3 of Roll for Short Story, where I had to write a dark romantasy with a shy, broody assassin and an arrogant, grumpy pirate. This one does come with a trigger warning. Gets a little dark in places. But here we go. The actions of Mirkan and its abhorrent warlord are unforgivable. The people of Listea grieve their innumerable fallen, and betrayed needs aid lest they meet the same end. I beseech you, end Drac avance, reign, by your hand or his own, and let the peninsula know peace once more. The Chancellor of De Grine requested this job himself. I usually make it a point to avoid political assassinations, but with Avant's constant warmongering, that's becoming more and more difficult. He's been left unchecked for too long, and now no country's military can compare. My objective is to end both his life and the godlike reputation that he built for himself among his people. But first, I need to end his second in command. General Querl Zakti spends more time with the common soldiers than the warlord, and according to my information, can memorize a face after seeing it only once. I won't be able to hide among the army if he doesn't recognize me as a soldier. The city of Brunei is always covered by a miasmic cloud, blocking the sun and slowly choking the people. Dozens of gray stone buildings pump plumes of smoke into the air from the hundreds of forges working inside to create the thousands of weapons the warlord needs for his wars. At the center of these factories is the spire the high-ranking officers used to watch over the city, built of the same dull gray stone as the surrounding buildings. The warlord sits at the top, nearly impossible to reach. The general, however, takes it upon himself to regularly inspect the factories and their laborers. My long hair secured under a bandana and my too thin physique hidden under layers of soot-covered work clothes, I slip into the small office that overlooks the many forges below. The sweltering heat seeps into my layers and stays trapped in the folds, suffocating me. Despite the discomfort, I keep all the motion from my face as the general looks up. "What do you want? Why aren't you working?" he snaps, his voice more shrill and irritating than I expected. His eyes narrow as he approaches me. "I don't recognize you." "I'm new, sir. My father, gone, brought me to help as he aged. I was hoping to introduce myself in person." Maintaining eye contact and reading every twitch of his brow, I hold my hand out. I don't see the resemblance, nor do I remember his having a daughter. Despite his suspicion, he takes my hand. With skin-on-skin contact, my magic is able to enter the general's body. I think of the loss of my parents years ago after disease ravaged my village and the deaths of friends and pets, the hopelessness of being alone, the temptation of giving up. Throughout my life, I experienced such despair spread across years, but the general is feeling it all at once. He feels the loss of family and friends, the pain of loneliness, the desire for all of it to end. These thoughts naturally bring forth all his regrets and long-dead dreams, the joy and innocence he's lost as he rose through the ranks. By the time I release his hand, the light has faded from his eyes, and he no longer cares who I am. Zagti staggers back to his desk, his hand brushing the hilt of his saber he'd leaned against the side. It clatters to the floor as he falls into his chair. He picks it up, letting the blade slip from its sheath, and stares at his broken, tear-streaked expression on the metal. As I turn to leave, my job complete, he turns the blade on himself. Emotions are more powerful than most realize. I've assassinated more than I care to count, and never let a drop of blood touch my own hands. No matter how happy one seems on the outside, despair is always lurking somewhere in their heart. Soldiers line the streets, ensuring every citizen obeys the strict sundown curfew. I return to the ramshackle shed at the edge of the city, and change from a blacksmith's uniform to a soldier's. The warlord is preparing to attack Petrine, and has mobilized his naval fleet. I will join his flagship crew and make this expedition his last. In the dead of night and amid the whirlwind of preparations, no one minds an extra pair of hands, a fact I'm grateful for. Pumping such an amount of emotion into someone takes most of my magic and significant mental strain. I silently move crates and tie down racks of weapons through the night. As the sun creeps up over the hazy horizon, I hide away to rest and await the arrival of the Warlord. Not more than a few hours pass before I'm awoken by cannon fire and shouts. I avoid getting pulled into the fray, creeping along walls until I reach a porthole. Outside, the flagship is surrounded by a fleet of pirate ships. How brazen, I think, as I assess the situation, but I've never seen such coordinated pirates. The fleet of pirate ships surrounded the flagship, isolating it from the rest of Mercan's fleet. While the rest of the pirates deal with the rest of the navy, their largest ship sails straight for Avance, and it doesn't stop. I brace myself against the far wall as the pirate ship collides with Avance flagship. Not expecting a better opportunity, I hide amongst the chaos on deck until I near the captain's cabin. Any resistance I meet, I use my magic to amplify the fear any battle would instill in one's heart. Soldiers and pirates alike flee from me, some even jumping overboard to avoid the conflict. Mere feet from the cabin door, a hand grabs my wrist, a bandana blocking their skin from contacting mine. That's an impressive trick. Unfortunately, I'd like the pleasure of killing drunk myself. The pirate gripping my arm has delicate features ruined by their cocky smirk. I spin to try and grab their neck with my other hand, but another pirate pins my arm painfully behind me. I can't reach any skin, not with my hands at least. So many others with empathy magic could use a hug or a kiss as a weapon, something that is especially useful for attractive female assassins, but I can't bring myself to do it. Cursing my weakness, I can only hook my foot around the first pirate's leg and topple them backwards. Rather than pulling me and the other pirate down, they simply let go of my wrists as they fall. I reach behind me to instill fear in the remaining pirate, freeing my other wrist. In the few seconds it takes me to do that, the first pirate is on their feet again, now wielding their coat. Faster than I can keep up, they dash at me, spin to dodge my hands, and end up behind me. From there, they throw their long coat around me and tie the sleeves tight over my arms. Moments later, more of their crew arrive with ropes to finish the job. Captain Riley, Avance escaped. He had a small boat with a mechanism on the back that propelled it faster than we could follow, a burly pirate reports. Damn it, we waited too long. Who knows how many other tricks he has. The pirate captain glares and roughly grabs me by the jaw. This is your fault. I only glare back. It's their fault I failed too. Riley shoves my face away and spits orders to the crew. Take her to the ship and make sure to completely bind her hands. Don't touch her more than you need to. The ship's brig is damp and nearly pitch black, the only light coming from a pair of sconces near the stairs across the room. They chain my wrists behind me and shackle them to the wall. I can't move more than to decide whether I sit on my knees or cross-legged. After the ship starts moving, footsteps stomp down the stairs and the pirate captain enters my cell, flanked by a pair of crew members with lanterns. "Who hired you?" Riley growled. "Talk. You won't like what happens if you don't." "Whatever you do to me won't be worse than what happens if you touch me," I reply, glaring up at them. The pirate kicks out and slams their foot into the wall next to my head, leaning down so the light no longer reaches their face. The shadows twist their anger into pure malice. Is some other would-be king trying to swoop in to replace this warmongering bastard? I close my eyes and ignore their questioning. One of the crew members grabs me by the hair to keep me from moving while her captain pats down my pockets. They already checked for weapons, so I don't know what they're hoping to find. As they search my pockets, the skin of our arms touch for the briefest second. Their will is stronger than the average person, or maybe they're just defensive, knowing what I can do, and I can't force my magic into them in such a short time. I do, however, feel the deep hatred and rage they have in their heart toward the Warlord. Riley jumps away, having felt my magic, and sends a kick into my ribs. "Mind-numbing bitch." They grumble as they turn to leave. Make sure she doesn't die. I don't know what the pirates are planning, but Even from the brig, I can hear their constant chatter and moving of crates and cannons. They question me every other hour, throwing water on me if I fall asleep, and hit, cut, or burn me when I don't answer. They won't free my arms, even when I'm alone, so I can only eat if someone feeds me. Of course, I refuse. The man with the misfortune of tending to my meal amuses himself by treating me like a child or a dog. He pushes the spoon to my lips and lets the slop drip down my chin, laughing. While he grips my hair to try and shove my face into the bowl, I shift my legs in front of me. While he entertains himself with barks and jabs, I kick out with full force into his groin. While he doubles over, his shirt shifts to reveal bare skin. With my shoes off, I'm able to send waves of magic, fear, into the pirate, through my foot into his heart. The pirate scrambles away from me, face pale and body trembling, frozen for a good while. I jerk my body towards him, shaking my chains and shackles, and send him screaming back to his captain. As expected, I get another visit from Riley. So you'd rather starve than talk? Are all assassins so loyal to their clients? I won't be treated like a dog or a child. I can't eat restrained. Riley's mouth twists into a sneer. I prefer you tied up. They shackle my legs as well, a chain connecting those shackles with the ones to my wrists. Now I can only wait on my knees until I find an opportunity to escape. It doesn't matter. I'll find your employer whether you talk or not, and if I find out on my own before you talk, I'll make sure your death is slow and painful as the amount of time you made me waste. Go ahead, torture and humiliate me all you want. Waste time with me while Avant continues his wars. Riley steps forward me, wanting to grab my throat, but holds back. If I rile them up further, I can get them close enough to... I have no choice. A drastic measure would be my only opportunity. I could take the anger and hate from your heart. Even without touching you, I can feel how it consumes you. You mean that so-called bliss you grant those too weak to handle their own emotions? Fuck that and fuck you. My hate and anger drive me forward. Once that bastard's dead, I'll have my bliss. Why do you care? Are you trying to play the hero, or are you tired of piracy and looking to try warmongering yourself? This snaps them enough for them to grab me by the throat. They hiss in my face, their lips close enough that I feel their breath. He turned my home into a prison, my people into nothing more than slaves for his war. Why shouldn't I? I try not to think about it. They're irate enough to get caught off guard by my lunge forward. I end their rant with my lips and pour my magic into the kiss. Or I tried to. I feel my heart connect to theirs, but my magic won't flow into them. What I thought was their willpower is something else. Neither their emotion nor mine. Something older. Lifetimes older. Riley shoves me away and stumbles back, face red with anger. What did you do? I won't let you alter my heart. I'm too stunned to reply, even if I wanted to. I'd never failed to influence someone's heart before. Something as jarring as a kiss in the middle of an argument would shatter any walls of willpower. What was protecting them? The pirate captain disappears and returns with more chains. My hands, feet, and neck are all bound and shackled to the wall, rendering me completely immobile. Riley and their crew leave me alone long enough for me to fall into a fitful sleep, leaned uncomfortably back against the wall. In the depths of my dream, I remember a possible explanation for my magic's failure to influence Riley. The thought shakes me awake. I need one more attempt. I need to try to touch them again. The next day, I assume, based on the amount of time that has passed, a crew member comes down to question me more. I tell them I'll answer their captain's questions, but only if they come here themselves. When Riley appears, they sit in a chair inside my cell, still nearly 5 feet away from me. Who hired you? They ask, voice flat and eyes full of disgust. The Chancellor of Degrine, I reply. Riley narrows their eyes, lips twisted into a sneer, so I elaborate. He claims to feel for Listea and Baltrine, but I'm sure he's only worried for his own country. Without those two acting as buffer, Degrine is open for attack by both land and sea. And why does it have to be you? If the Warlord spends his last moments crying in terror before taking his own life, both his regime and reputation will fall. Tempting, but I'll be leaving you tied up while I end him myself. It'll be more poetic if he's killed by the kid he wrote off as useless. I'm unable to hide my shock, and a satisfied smirk spreads across Riley's face. When my voice finds me, I manage to ask, for 11 years he's been using how he killed his own wife and child to keep this country scared. The pirate's leg bounces as they try and keep the rage seeping into their voice. I know. I was barely 9 years old, but I remember. My mother shielded me, and he stabbed straight through her to get to me. He dumped both of us into the sea, and I've been out here ever since, planning and waiting for the perfect opportunity. They have a stronger claim on the Warlord's life than I do, but I don't get paid if I don't meet the grind's expectations. And this is the perfect opportunity? My first attack was the opportunity, the one I missed because of you. Riley stands and kicks their chair in my direction, the wood splintering against the wall next to me. Now I have to use the riskier plan B. Just remember, any collateral damage, their blood is on your hands. Riley storms back upstairs and muffled voices erupt above deck. Less than an hour later, cannon fire follows. Pirates rush up and down the stairs periodically, gathering supplies from a storeroom somewhere down the hall from my cell. The plan B, Riley mentioned, must be happening. Either I'll lose my pay for my job, or I'll lose my chance to test my magic on Riley again. No matter how good their plan is, attacking Mercon is suicide. I can't let them die. Not yet. I need to know. Years ago, before I abandoned my disease-ridden village, the elderly neighbor that often cared for my family told me a secret, a superstition. She told me there was only one person in the world our magic would never work against. This person won't be family, but a stranger. They may be friend or foe, but I will feel a connection between our hearts that spans back through lifetimes. A connection that promises we will always find each other. A single emotion that our soul will feel before we even understand what it means. I never believed it. It's a ridiculous concept, but I can't deny the strange block I felt when I tried to force my magic into Riley. The shattered remains of the chair still lays against the wall next to me. I can move my body just enough to lean against the splintered leg, forcing it through my skin. Blood flows down the wood and pools on the floor next to me. If Riley still wishes to keep me alive, my groans of pain should attract someone. And they do. The woman who came with Riley holding my hair to allow her captain to search me approaches upon hearing me. The captain is still insisting on keeping you alive, she mutters, leaving me only to return with bandages. She splashes my entire side with water and pours a vial of stinging liquid over my wound. Following her captain's example, she wears gloves and keeps contact to a minimum. I can't bring myself to repeat the method I used on Riley, so I simply slump against the pirate, allowing our cheeks to touch, however briefly. The pirate pulls away quickly, but I have more than enough time to send infatuation into her heart. This use of our magic is what people fear most. Love is more powerful and more controlling than any other emotion. With a strong enough pulse of magic, we can all but turn a person into a willing slave. I avoid this method, and if I must use it, I make the effect as weak as possible, not for morality, but simply because I can't stand the result. You know, you're pretty easy on the eyes, and tough. You haven't so much as flinched this whole time, the pirate mutters, my magic boring into her heart. What's your name? Unbind me and I'll tell you. I can't meet her gaze. I hate the way she's focusing on me, the way people stare at someone when they're infatuated with. A dangerous smirk appears on the pirate's lips as she cups my face in her hands. I'll need more reward than a name to do all that, she whispers. I turn my face away. I don't fancy being taken advantage of in this position. The pirate hesitates, but unshackles me with as much physical contact as she can. My legs are numb and my shoulders sore. Once on my feet, I press my hand to the pirate's forehead, filling her with fatigue. Forcing magic into one person in such quick succession could break their psyche and exhaust the user. Her psyche should be fine, but my energy wanes dangerously. I'll need to refrain from using magic until I reach the Warlord or Riley. The pirate collapses and I steady myself against the wall. I force myself to forget the pirate captain and leave the dingy brig. Even before I emerge into the hazy sunlight, I hear the sounds of battle. Pistol shots, clanging metal on metal, explosions, cries of pain, and bestial shouts of bloodlust. The entire city, soldier and civilians alike, was a battlefield. The dock was full of pirate ships. Riley had a fleet of allies to rival that of their father's navy. Pirates fled the streets, cutting down the wildly unprepared soldiers. Unarmed civilians are allowed to flee, clutching their children to the safety of shops and residences. The factories are the pirates' main targets. While, with everyone distracted, I dashed through the dark alleys and side streets full of cowering civilians. The warlord should be in his spire, watching the battle transpire beneath him. In front of the spire is an open square, formerly used for festivals and community, but now used for public executions and shows of military force. It's eerily quiet. The fighting behind me echoes through the empty square as the spire looms over me. I'm smart enough not to cut through and make a wide circle around to find a more hidden entrance. Nearly halfway around the spire, a pair of arms grab me and pull me away from the square. Instinctively, as the person holds me against their chest, I try to pump magic into them. Fear, love, despair, nothing works. They refuse to release me, and the ground-shaking, deafening explosion behind me explains why. "How the hell did you escape?" Riley's voice growls in my ear. Smoke, dust, and debris fill the air as the pirate pulls me away from the spire. They slam me against the building and hold a knife to my throat. "Stay out of my way!" Whether it's the chaos of battle, recovering from being so near an explosion, or the sheer rage they're feeling, I don't know. But they don't stop me as I touch my hand gingerly to their cheek. A rush of emotion flows between us. Lifetimes of joy and fun, fear and loss, frustration and regret. Lifetimes of love. What are you trying to do to me?" they ask, the knife going slack in their hands. "I can't do anything to you." I let my hand drop to my side. Fate is cruel. How could they force a person into my life and give me no defense against them? "Captain, the outer spiral is down. Are we moving in?" Riley releases me and pries their eyes from mine. Their crew waits behind them. As the cloud of dust clears, the spire, what remains of it, comes into view. The dull gray stone that formed the outer shell has crumbled to the ground. All that remains is a narrow black tower, barely half the size of the original spire. "Go, continue to plan. Nothing's changed," Riley orders. Their crew scatters and they turn back to me. "You'll explain whatever happened later." Rather than simply leaving me behind, they take my hand and we climb the rubble together. Blood pools under the stone and seeps through the cracks from the officers that weren't in the safe center. Whatever survivors and the soldiers pouring in from nearby streets clash with the pirates. As more and more soldiers converge on the city center, it becomes clear that the pirates are still outnumbered despite their captain's preparation. Yet Riley ignores all of them. A massive man, twice our height and easily double our combined weight and muscle, rises from the debris as we approach the tower. I step in front of Riley, and as the soldier before us swings at my head, I duck under his fist and wrap my arms around his wrist. I forced into him every ounce of rage I can muster, feeding his bloodlust. When I release him, he's frozen for a moment. In that time, I take Riley's hand and run to the tower. The giant soldier bellows a bestial roar and barrels into the formation of his comrades. With his bare hands, he pummels them beyond the point of death and doesn't stop until his body is cut, battered, and pierced full of holes, physically unable to move. "That power is damn terrifying," Riley mutters as they cut down the few remaining soldiers in the tower. I follow behind, my head pounding from the amount of magic I've used. I don't have enough energy to drive Yvonne to take his own life, and I don't want to. At the top of the winding stairs up the tower, a pair of thick, dark wood doors await. There could be no one but the Warlord himself inside, cowering while his city falls. I slump against the wall and slide down to sit on the steps. The pounding footsteps of either soldiers or pirates echo up the stairwell. "Giving up on your job?" Riley scoffs, hesitating to enter alone. The words slip past my lip before I can think against them. "I want to give you your bliss, even if not by magic." Riley's expression softens, as shocked at my words as I am. After a too long silence, they regain their senses enough to respond. "Thank you." The heavy doors creak and groan as the pirate pushes them open. As expected, their father stands looking over the city from a window, white-knuckled, clenched fists folded behind his back. Voices echo up with the footsteps. I hear shouts for Warlord Avanth rather than Captain Riley, and get to my feet again. The first soldier foolishly charges me head on, and I amplify his fear to send him crashing down the stairs in his attempt to escape. In time, his comrades recover and try a more calculated approach. They try to flank me in the narrow staircase, only to fail, their swords grinding against the wall and handrail rather than slicing into me. I take the closest one by the throat and fill his heart with hate. He makes eye contact with his comrade, and the hate has a target. I slip into the warlord's office to avoid the soldiers fighting among themselves, and to find Riley standing over their father, his own blade pierced into his heart. I dealt the blow, but you can say he did it himself. He all but quit in the end anyway. They take my hand. Our souls' bond reverberates between us. It's familiar, comforting. I close my hand around theirs. So rarely do I feel someone else's emotion flowing so freely into my heart. You probably know my name, but I don't know yours. Marin. My voice is barely above a whisper. When did speaking to this pirate become so difficult? Marin, join my crew. Your power. I want to keep it close. I shake my head and slip my hand from theirs before they feel my foolish fear of the thought of joining them. I still prefer to work alone. Riley huffs and folds their arms across their chest. If you change your mind, you know where to find me. Not in my way again, I hope, I reply, a small smile creeping onto my face despite my efforts to stop it. And that's it. Hope you liked this one. I hope it wasn't too dark. I don't usually go dark. But come back next time for episode 4.